Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Hugo Quintanilla, your realtor, licensed in Maryland, with another live Empowering Dreams, a home buyer's journey to success. And if you know anybody that wants to learn a little bit more about home buying, please feel free and have them join me today. I really would appreciate it. And have them share the live. We're going to be on a few different platforms. So if you know anyone that could benefit from this information, feel free and share it on your platform of choice. We're going to be on LinkedIn, X, Twitch.com, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So feel free and tune in when you can. So today it's going to be Empowering Dreams, a home buyer's journey to success. And more than anything, since we do this every month, we're going to be talking about how, in particular, the 2023 guide for Latino home buyers is going to impact that demographic. If you don't know, I am a Latino. Well, I was born in Maryland, always born and raised. But my heritage, my parents are from El Salvador. So Latin America, if you're not familiar, very small country. That's why if you notice or follow me on other platforms, I retweet a lot of El Salvador information and news because it's very closely tied with the United States. And I do a lot of negotiating over there in El Salvador too, with a few properties as well, since real estate is international. But more than anything else, home ownership in America is still part of the American dream. And that's what we're going to talk about. These are basically 10 points around that presentation and how to maybe benefit your conversations with your Latino clients from an agent standpoint. Or if you're a client, maybe thinking about these things so that you maybe learn something that you didn't know. You don't necessarily have to be Latino to benefit from this information. This is stuff that is universal. But really, this study pulled up some very interesting points that year after year are echoing in the industry. And the biggest one is that Latinos are going to be one of the huge influences in the next wave of real estate ownership. It's one of the fastest growing demographics. And really, I believe one of the most apt to make the most out of a turbulent time. These are really people that know how to flip homes, know the work, know cost, know their business, and know their demographics, and know their locations as well. One of the most important things is knowing where to buy these properties. And you know, if you can put some elbow grease into them, it really does make it all the more wild and profitable as well. Now, what does home ownership mean to you? Is home ownership an apartment? Is home ownership a trailer home? Is home ownership, a room? Are you comfortable with that? There's some people that home ownership is not feasible for them because they're not mentally capable enough to take on that burden, let alone financially. But there's some people that financially can do it but choose not to for X, Y, and Z reasons. I know a lot of adult age people, I should say, that are not adult enough to pay their rent on time and still have to be constantly reminded to pay their rent on time. It really can get that trivial, and I hate to diminutize it, but really it can be that simple as, hey, did you pay your rent this month? That's the basics 101 of home ownership. And if you're not responsible enough to do that, then really it might not be something realistic for you or your partner. Are you familiar with the benefits of owning a home? What really is the big benefit in owning a home? Well, it's appreciation. It's the equity that you're leaving in the property. It's the actual, net growth that you get from just home ownership, the opportunities you build, stability. You get tax deductions and tax, incentives. And it's just peace of mind, I would think. Pride in home ownership. I always remember that from our conversation with Eric, that it the pride that you have in your community and home ownership. Like, this is my place and I can make it, my castle. I can make it my home. I love that. How does a home ownership fit into your American dream? Do you have an American dream? Have you thought about what it means to have your own little plot of land here in America? I was thinking about Of Mice and Men the other day. A very famous book, great novel. I haven't read it in a long time. I reviewed it for a second, and my the concept of the American dream of having your own little plot of land is still, you know, prevalent back in that. And it just speaks to how much the need and desire to own your own in America is prevalent. And it's part ingrained in all of us, I think, just being Americans. Have you considered how owning a home contributes to building generational wealth? Again, this is maybe a little bit more of a somber conversation to have, but if it's done right, you should have more than enough to share and more than enough to leave on to your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' 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 kids. And I'm pretty sure there are Bible verses that, you know, echo that sentiment. And it really comes down to being wise with what you have and stewarding it correctly, making sure that you're being wise of your investments and monitoring them, taking care of them. It's not just about making them, it's about, following through with them, because, you know, even spoils will go to waste if you let them, expire. So you got to take care of them, because things lack of use will will cause things to wither away. So, don't let time slip by, because time is yet the only thing that we have yet to commercialize. I believe we commercialize, the exchange of time, but we cannot yet buy more time. So, number two, understanding the Latino homebuyer landscape. Did you know the median age of Latinos in the US is 30, making it a young and vibrant community ready for home ownership? Are you aware of the growing home ownership rate amongst Latinos, reaching 48.6% in 2022? Remember, this is the 2023 report, and it comes out 1 year delayed. How does the idea of being part of the growing community of Latino homeowners motivate you? I think that it doesn't really have to be a Latino or anybody to really, feel that home ownership is just, it's different. You can make a whole support group on home ownership, and I'm sure you can find some TikToks on how bad it can be. But home ownership does have these great pros, and if you find a home that you like, and the stars align, it really can be a great experience. When that doesn't happen, you can take a little bit of the guesswork out and stress by working with a professional. So, number three, importance of home ownership in the Latino community. How important is home ownership to you and your family? I know for me as a Latino, it is prevalent up and down. We live in multi-generational homes, larger, with just family members from three generations in there. It really, we have the abuela, the tatarabuela, our parents, and then ourselves, our kids, and maybe at this point we might even have our kids' in these homes. So it really is the boom that has happened here, and it's incredible to see sometimes. Um, have you thought about how owning a home can narrow the wealth gap for Latino families? I know I personally have. It is hard to make people understand that a car is not a wealth status symbol. It is actually a rolling liability. And the moment that someone said that to me, it hurt. It hurt. I lived with it. Especially myself. I've come from a culture of Fast and the Furious, and muscle cars, and all these extravagant vehicles, but it's not a wealth status symbol, I believe. And especially when it comes to other priorities that you might have that are really necessities. I know people that have very luxurious cars but have empty refrigerators, and it comes down to what matters to you. Maybe that person just doesn't cook. It just all varies. That's why you can't judge. What does the concept of a multi-generational home mean to you? To me, it really does mean having the space and the room to have everyone live on the property. That's why I did support the passing of the last little bits of legislation to um, make more housing in Maryland. I know I could broadcast it out there, and if you guys want to join in on that, you can talk to your representative in your local district. But I did it for myself. I know I broadcasted out a previous, legislation, and people had some sort of, feelings about that. But it's not really an attempt to sway. It's really more an attempt to inform people that this stuff is out there. I was not aware that this stuff was that easily accessible. I could tune in on the feed. There's no reason why I shouldn't be looking at this stuff. Yes, it's hard to keep up with. Yes, it's hard to understand. Yes, there are a lot of issues all the time. It make you think. And I spent going down rabbit holes and just thinking about some of this legislation and what the pros and cons of this stuff can be. So you have to think about this stuff and what multi generational homes could translate into with certain legislation is more ADUs, more renovations, more additions, easier legislation on maybe getting permits. You never know, but it just in different areas it's different. I know here there's a lot of permitting that has to happen in Montgomery County because everything has to be to code, but there's still many places that think of it differently and feel differently about real estate. So the new wave of Latino home buyers, are you part of the younger Latino generation looking to make early home ownership decisions? There's a demographic that's probably less than 30 years old, and they can vary in really second education plans, but a lot of them are going into the trades and really have a lot of savings, have wealth from family members that might be accessible to home ownership. And that is something to think about because you will have something access to. Something that is home ownership that a lot of your peers won't have. You'll be able to buy a home with the help of your family, of course, um, a lot sooner than the average person if you keep your credit right, if you stay out of trouble, if all these other things that have to go into play. But it really, homes can be found. It's just a matter of taking your time and looking at these things from a further away scope and stepping back and asking these questions. How do you feel about the fact that Latinos are purchasing homes at a younger age compared to the general population? It's bound to happen. The reason more than anything is, I think, unfortunately, political. The easiest way for legislation to happen is for things to change, but the easiest way for people to get into homes is for the first person that has a steady status to purchase here purchases the home, and that typically is the firstborn. And usually when they become of age, probably in their 20s, probably in their I would say probably at the earliest in their 20s, but probably early as late as 24. you know 20 or 24 is pretty early to buy a home. Most people are in college at that point. So if you think about it, those are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, but they have the financials to back it, and they have the good jobs because a lot of these trade professions are very well paid and no one else wants to do these jobs. What are your thoughts on using technology like virtual tours and social media in your home buying journey? Um, more than anything else, I think clients are expecting it, and I'm seeing it more and more. We're seeing a very interesting fact that came up in a few meetings was that leads haven't necessarily increased on social media. We're not getting a report of more leads. It's just the exposure of certain agents or the reach of certain narratives, so to speak, can be louder than others, and that really can sway the vibe of the market and sway what generally people think. Now, informed people that stay in the know, that aren't really living off of social media, they are definitely you know using pertinent information to their situation. That's why you have to localize everything to yourself, because a lot of people get swayed by headlines and don't take time to really do their due diligence and make a mistake. But I think virtual tours are great. I think social media is a great way to get the conversation started. But again, you have to localize it and personalize it to yourself, because it could always be a little bit more challenging in your particular situation or in your particular location, because you just don't have the inventory nowadays, which is the biggest challenge. Economic optimism and home buying. This is number five. Despite economic challenges like inflation, do you remain optimistic about your financial future and the possibilities of home buying? How does your belief in the American dream influence your home buying decisions? Some things to think about. The growth segment of affluent Latinos. Have you considered the rising number of affluent Latinos and the impact of housing market and including luxury homes? It really, you'd be surprised how many business owners are Latino, and how many um, have Latino heritage. So it really, these are self-identifying Latinos, so we don't really have to guesswork on genetics, but it's self-identifying, self-reporting. So it's a huge demographic that's going on as we're seeing more and more successful Latinos make huge strides in businesses across the United States. Does the idea of Latino in entrepreneurship and its contributions to the economy inspire you to start your home buying journey? I know for most people they don't think about that, but I know for myself it is probably the number one reason why I wanted to start this, was to help people understand home ownership. I didn't realize how many violations my parents had to endure for everything that they had. And it wasn't until I learned from a very good instructor that taught me how many transgressions there had been in the past. And, luckily, a lot of strides had been made since that time. We're talking almost 30 years. But even to this day, even since the beginning of my career, I've noticed a very large difference in the sentiment and the feelings and the education. And a lot of agents have left. They can't deal with it anymore, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, um, you gotta stay positive, and you gotta remember that you are entitled to have just like anybody else. So inform yourself, educate yourself. Instead of keeping your money in a savings account where it's only getting you a mere, whatever percent, invest it in a home. Invest it in a property that maybe you can live in, or maybe you can lease out. Think about the future in your family and what you can do. The old adage used to be, buy a home every time you have a child, so that you can sell it by the time they go to college and they have money to go to college with. It's still a great way to do it if you're smart about where you buy. But again, we all have priorities and things to think about. So, number seven, addressing the needs of aging Latinos. How does the growing population of older Latinos influence your thoughts on home ownership and long term living arrangements? Are you planning for a home that can accommodate aging family members? I will even expand this further and have you think about, how is they call it a silver tsunami. I think that's a quite exaggerated, but it is a big wave that's coming of older people that are going to need healthcare. They are going to need some sort of retirement, some sort of safety net, some sort of bag, something to cushion them in the fall as things start to change. Social Security is scheduled to stop at 2030, is what I heard today. So from there on out, it's kind of no man's land. So we don't really know what's going to happen. But it's going to be very interesting to see as we're starting to see more and more retirement funds and ETFs associate themselves with other assets in the market. But real estate is still a great asset to have. No one's making more real estate. You can't make more earth. So, you know, it's a buy and hold strategy. You never lose unless you sell at a loss. So keep that in mind. Oh, and last but not least, it's you got to think about affordable housing. The older population more than anything is going to suffer from not having enough affordable housing. The average I think I heard was 10,000 a month for proper health care for someone that's elderly. And of course, we're talking end of life, not immediate retirement age. That's a newborn compared to what we're talking about. But now more than ever, people are like living longer. We're seeing more than ever people in their hundreds sell real estate, and I love it. It's great. It really is great. Number 8, the future of Hispanic household formation. How did you see yourself contributing to the growth of Latino homeownership in the coming years? Are you aware of the significant impact Latinos will have on the housing market by 2060? That question I'm going to leave up for you to look up. That's going to be your homework because this report is out there and you can download it and get a great glimpse of that information on there. But contributing to the growth of Latino homeownership in the coming years, I hope I really run the forefront. I know there are a lot of great teams, a lot of great organizations that are out there helping out the community and really teaching La Raza to really do the most about their financial future. And I love it. It really is about helping out the community. I aspire to get better at that every day. And I really hope that you guys join me on that journey because I know that this is a starting point and this is a place where I want to make it safe for us to have discussions and later on, maybe expand to further and greater. So I really do appreciate the time that you guys give me. So, number 9, leverage the increase in Hispanic buying power. How does how does knowing about the increased buying power of the Latino community affect your confidence in buying a home? um, the buying power is really going to be the instrumental thing. You need more buying power than ever before. When these interest rates come down, your buying power increases, but you got to be ready. Have you considered how homeownership can further enhance your financial stability and buying power into the future? It's about spending 10,000 to make 100,000. It's about refinancing that 100,000 to make 300,000. It's about refinancing that 400,000 to make 500,000. And then so on and so forth. So you got to take your time, learn the Burr method, and talk to a realtor that you trust. Conclusions: take the next step. What are your next steps in the home buying process? Where are you in your personal home buying journey? How can we as real estate professionals assist you to make more informed decisions? Let me know. I am the National Association of Realtors social media ambassador. I am GCAR's social media ambassador. So feel free, reach out. I am very accessible and I really do appreciate the feedback. Are there specific concerns or needs you have that you can address to facilitate your home buying journey? I think more than anything, you don't know what you don't know. And you need someone that has a plan for you, that is trusted in your part of town, that knows what they're doing and can take you from the beginning to the end. There's a lot of pitfalls in real estate and there are a lot of dangers, but you need a trusted advisor to help you make good decisions. So, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I know this one's a little bit longer than most, a little bit different than most, but I really do appreciate your time. This again was a home buyer kind of, I would say, workshop, Empowering Dreams, a home buyer's journey to success based off of the 2023 Latino e-guide that I shared earlier on the week. Go ahead and check it out. It's really, really informative. It's about maybe 23 pages long, I think, with some pretty good stats and graphics. But the biggest ones that you want to remember is that the median age of Latinos in the US is 30, making it a young and vibrant community. And home ownership rates amongst Latinos is reaching 48.6%, making it one of the fastest growing demographics in the United States. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I am your Realtor Hugo, licensed in Maryland with Long and Foster, North Potomac, Rockville. If you have any questions, feel free and reach out. My phone number, 240-389-4846. My email, hugo@lnf.com. My website, yourrealtorhugo.com. And yeah, feel free, share. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the real estate rundown, top real estate stories of the week, usually top 10. And we'll see what has impacted the industry. I know we're going to be talking about that DOJ article, and we'll see what else is going to happen because there is always something happening in the news. But yeah, I appreciate all of you tuning in. Stay positive. Homeownership is within grasp. Do not fear. And I will see you all tomorrow for another lesson. All right. Take care. Bye.